20th person voted out, 7th member of our jury. Kirby.
I have played National League netball for 10 years.
Okay.
I played for Perth Oriole, which is Beaver.
Oh.
I went to the AIS,
What's that?
Australian Shooter Sports.
Oh, okay. I don't.
Not surprised.
And then I played AFL, vice captain Fremantle.
Okay.
Played at Carlton, and then I coached.
You're a footy player.
Then I coached AFLW.
Handball back to Kirby Bentley.
Sold a bit of candy there, Kirby Bentley.
She turns on that left boot. Here comes Bentley. She's got it.
And that's pretty safe as well because Bentley has converted and kicked the goal for Fremantle.
I just want to continue the conversation that we were having off air about black fellas. First, can I ask you, tell me about your mob.
Yeah, so I am a Nyunga Wongai Yamaji from Western Australia. Both parents are Aboriginal and my bloodlines are attached to the Wongai, Nyunga and Yamaji tribes. But, yeah, I belong to a few different country lands. So when you look at, say, the state of WA, there's different country towns.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what our country lands look like. So places that we belong to.
And you've got a few.
I have a few because my grandparents are Aboriginal, great-grandparents are Aboriginal, obviously both parents are, and it's on both sides of the family. So if I want to look for a life partner, I can't look in WA if I want a black one. It'll be related.
When I was in Darwin or when I was in Kakadu, they were explaining certain people can't be with other certain people in mob. Is that right?
Yeah, traditions are different in different tribes.
Right.
Like, so if we draw a line across the middle of Australia, the top half are different with the way that they sort of work. So
Yeah, right.
their skin group or whoever
Skin
that
group,
family
that's
is.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can't really cross over.
Yeah,
or
that's it.
Different sort of traditions with who you can speak to, who you can't speak to.
Yes.
But down south, because there's a lot of stolen generations and our names are also different. Like my last name's a white last name. And it's not even my real last name. So it's hard for us. We need to ask, who's your mob, who's your nan, who's your pop, who do you call uncle and auntie, and how do I know if that's the truth? And then I need to go and vet check and do my own ancestry.com through my nan.
So
It's complicated.
Well, you don't know what your real last name is.
So my mum's dad is Irish, and when her grandfather came into Australia, it was O'Shaughnessy.
Right.
And the Irish weren't very welcomed, so
That's
they
right.
changed it to Bentley. So it's a white last name, which makes it a little bit more acceptable because of that time.
It's a very expensive car.
It is, and one that I can't afford. Obviously, I lost Survivor, so I'm still hitting Ferris up for it.
Yeah, good. Would you buy a Bentley?
Oh, no, I would like to be sponsored by them, but I wouldn't buy one.
Bentley
It
by
suits.
Bentley.
Yeah.
Bentley for Bentley.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so Mount Barker is where you grew up in white terms.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like growing up there?
Yeah, Mount Barker, small country town, Western Australia, and if anyone knows WA, very well, it's a very white and black country, and Mount Barker was just that. I was a pretty naive kid, so I didn't know a lot about different ethnicities. I didn't know about cultures. This is how naive I was. I used to watch the movies and think that was just an accent for the movies, and everyone was Australian, the world was Australia, and that just was it.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's wild that where your head goes. So living in this country town, like all of my best mates were white boys, and I was obviously this Aboriginal kid. I was proud to be Aboriginal because my family who they are, and they really made sure that I knew that, and that's who I was, and I didn't lose that. But yeah, I grew up with racism and hearing it and seeing it, and that's not just from the white people, it's from my own family sometimes too. So you get pretty torn when you're a kid. So part of the language was coconut, the term of coconut. So you're black on the outside, but you're acting white, or you think you're white or whatever. And that's hard to hear because that is not who I am or, who our family was. So
Well, and it's a slur, like it's an insult meant to hurt.
Yeah.
And they know, it's this, in America they say Oreo. And Whitney used to get that because she started singing pop music.
Yeah.
And they booing her. Like when
Yeah.
she was accepting the Soul Train Award, like her own people were booing her and calling
Yeah.
her an Oreo. Like, I don't know what kind of pain that would cause.
it's sad. It's sad because we don't know which sort of world to walk in. And I speak big on it now. Like, I feel like I walk in 3 worlds. So there's my culture, the Aboriginal space that I live in.
Yep.
Then there's where I'm Aboriginal but engaging with, white Australians or everyone else within Australia. Yep. And then the white world, which is if I'm sitting in a room full of corporates, I need to present in that space because I need to make people around me feel comfortable and empowered and, in control, because that's just what it is for us. And as an Aboriginal person, but as an Aboriginal woman in Australia, that's huge because we're not looked at as somebody that adds value or is a commodity in society. And that's sad to say and it's sad to hear, which is why I do a lot of what I do.
Yeah, good. It breaks my heart that we don't value Aboriginal everything. Dark Emu is such an amazing book, and the documentary on the controversy about that, him being had a go at by this white dickhead. But the documentary and the book, it's amazing how, the most important thing I think to take away from it was they're not just ancestral people, they're not just, native, kind of living off the land. These were archaeologists, these were builders, these were, what we can learn about the environment, the rain, the weather, the building structures is so many things that we're just not valuing or listening to or asking.
Yeah.
Drives me insane. It's such an ego-driven world. I think as an Indigenous woman, hard. An Indigenous man must be so disenfranchised. You're at the bottom of the rung.
Yep.
And they're just above you.
Yep.
And how they're feeling is so demeaned. And then there's a lot of unspoken about, but what we need to start speaking about, family violence within the communities as well. Just the other day you went to the Senate inquiry, was it, for inquiry into family violence of Indigenous women, missing women and murdered women?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
I had to share my story or our story through the murder of Aunty Andrea, so my mum's sister. Yep. And it was probably the first time that because I'd written it out and I'd shared it and read the words that I'd written but felt them genuinely and emotionally. Yeah. And it was the first time I was choked up because this is so real and so raw and it's still happening. 15 years later, nothing has changed from that. So the failing of the system, of the police, of the agencies and letting her down, it should never have happened in the first place because he had breached the restraining order and they just didn't take it seriously. Their assumption was, and they say it to a lot of our women, you're going to go back. So, just give it a few days. No one knows the perpetrator better than, the victim. And when somebody's coming to you and saying, this is what he's capable of, this is what he does, this is how I know him and I need you to help me. Yep. And they just look at her and go, oh, you might go back, so let's just hang on a second. It's hard to hear. So to be able to share the story and the truth about it to people who hopefully can create and make changes and make decisions that will allow us and hear the families that have actually experienced it, we can do something with that. So it was powerful. Genuinely the first time I've been upset speaking to it.
And there were 10 of you there speaking?
Yeah, so we all spoke separately and shared our stories. And as much as there were differences, they're definitely very, very much similar.
Sadly, too many similarities. Yes. Four Corners did an episode on Andrea Pickett. Mm-hmm. We were going to put that in our show notes. I highly recommend everyone listening to go and watch it. It's on iView. I mean, just click the link. You'll go straight to it and start watching it. It's all about Andrea. Kirby's in it. You're such a baby in it.
Yeah, it's 24.
You were such a young girl. Your mum, your sister, such strong women. Also, at the end, there's another heartbreaking story about a Japanese woman, very similar. What stood out to me, which will, to everyone watching it, was the phone call of your sister calling saying, we need help right now. We need help right now.
Yeah.
You know, we've just seen him and we don't know what to do. You need to get a helicopter or something to find him. He's out.
Yeah.
And they ignored.
Yeah. That was a really powerful moment in that. It's so funny. I was speaking to somebody the other day on how calm we are as women, but as Aboriginal women, but how calm we are as women because we know that we need to hold our shit together because I need to protect who's around me. And with that phone call, he'd come over the hill and it was on Mirrabooka Ave in one of the Perth main streets, and he'd come out with a knife and obviously went towards Aunty Andrea, and my sister was calm, and you can hear it calm, clear, but you can hear it in her voice that she was in a panic.
Desperate, yeah.
And she was very clear, articulated, Kenneth Charles Pickett has just attacked my auntie. We're on Mirrabooka Ave. He's right here now. He's running to the bush. This is the direction he's going. It was very clear of what she had given them, and I think they'd taken half an hour for them to even respond, first of all. And then secondly, within that time frame, he'd gone from attacking Aunty Andrea and the girls, so there was my sister and 2 cousins, to running to the house where she was staying, attacking another auntie in her house, and then cutting the brake lines, all within that space. And then he left. So he still hadn't been found. He still wasn't even... I don't think that nobody even looked for him.
No one was looking.
Yeah, and it was just obviously that's
clear
terrifying.
Instruction of where he is.
Very clear.
Like clear instruction of what to do to get him too. Like she's a smart woman, and they still did nothing. And you know, on that actual episode, there's a guy speaking about how, you know, most of them just go back. So you just, you know, you ignore it.
Yeah,
they say it. Like they just say it. They admit it.
Yeah.
And they have no shame.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's tragic.
If that was your sister, would you respond the same? Like
exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
it shouldn't even be that. That shouldn't even be a question. No. It's a human.
Yeah.
And you are working for us.
Yeah.
You are working in service, community service. You're supposed to serve and protect all humans.
Yeah.
And if there's a perpetrator who's done something illegal, go. Grab them.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to as a job?
Yeah.
The systemic racism is just so rife, as you know, but they're not even ashamed of it.
Yeah, I know. You can't even like let it hit you emotionally because it just makes you angry. Does that make sense? You can't.
Absolutely.
If you think too much about it, you're just going to get angry, upset, frustrated, and all these emotions that you can't control.
Yeah. And then you're just a hysterical black woman.
Yeah.
Stop it. Like, look at her now. She's just hysterical. You know, an angry woman is just such, to me, a given. Why we're not angrier, why we are not slaughtering, I don't know. Because we don't do that.
Yeah.
That's why. But we have every right to, as women. It's unbelievable, like, what we're happening to women, and we get told off for being angry about it.
Yeah, because why should we?
Yeah, so I mean, the level of protection that you have to have for yourself and the boundaries you must have to put in place so your emotions stay in check would be so exhausting. Your adrenal levels would be f***ed.
But we don't know any different, right?
No.
So
well, and then you do. Once you do know different, that's when the anger comes, and it comes in spurts, and you know, and then you have to deal with that anger. Then you have to push that back down, and then that starts festering in you, and you know, it just doesn't stop. And I see why, you know, the people, they just opt out. Yeah, you know, especially men in these kind of situations, they just opt out. They, you know, you look at so much colonialism and, you know, slavery and the way people of colour have been treated by the white man and how they've been so degraded. So I'm really glad that you're in the space of making a difference and talking. And I really appreciate you coming in, you know, because I know my listeners are just really interested in this kind of thing. And I just am so grateful that, you know, that you're making such a huge difference. I just wanted to say a few stats. 20% of homicide victims in Australia are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, despite only representing 3.8% of the population. I'm no mathematician, but something stinks. Almost a fifth of those victims are children. The First Nations women are 33 times more likely to be hospitalised and 6 times more likely to die due to family violence in comparison to non-Indigenous women.
Yeah, it's scary stats.
It's a scary stat.
I think I'll just say this. When I started the inquest, the first thing I asked the panellists to think about is, would you like to be an Aboriginal person or treated like an Aboriginal person in Australia? Genuinely,
great
think about that.
question.
And would you like to be treated as an Aboriginal woman in Australia? And would you be comfortable and happy with that, to be able to live by that and live through that? And just think about that when I share the story. So after that, they had come to me and said that was the most powerful starting statement, because they genuinely tried to reflect and really think, like, do I want to be an Aboriginal person in Australia, and do I want to be an Aboriginal female? And there were females in the room. So if your answer's no, then obviously clearly something's wrong.
Yeah. And it would have been an immediate no in their head.
Yeah, yes. Because we know, like...
That's right. We know how we treat you. We know how.
Yeah, but people have this delusional thought that we get given everything and everything's sort of easy for us and everything's free, but it's just not. So
it's not.
It is
such a fallacy. It is such a fallacy.
It's wild. I just can't comprehend it. But
well, you know, we've got 2 governments who have worked pretty hard at making that rhetoric, putting it out there, and, you know, perpetuating it and letting that fire build.
Yeah.
You know, not putting it out and saying that that's just simply not true. They're happy to let that racist trope be.
Creates divide, doesn't it?
Exactly.
That's what politics is all about. Like,
Exactly.
It's creating divide. And that's why we can't make decisions to protect the human. We can't, you know, do what is right morally.
No,
So,
that's right.
politics,
And if they
it's
took
insane.
care of you, there would be more of you making decisions, and they can't have that. So
Well, same with women, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I think everyone that's listening, just really think about that when you go to polls, when you have these conversations. Is it true? Is that true that, you know, Indigenous people are getting all of this free shit? Is that true? Like, you know,
Can you tell me where to go? 'Cause I'm stuck for a house at the moment.
Yes. Now, you went on to Survivor this year, and we just met serendipitously during the airing of that at a dog park, which was just wonderful because I was watching it and I had just the week before in my solo episode mentioned you and how I actually thought you were a Māori woman.
Yeah, right.
Because it had just begun,
Yeah.
and it wasn't clear,
Yeah.
yet. So I was like, oh, she's one to look out for, that one. Like, she's gonna mess some shit up. Like, and then I met you, and it was like, oh my God, this is so cool. It was really early on in the, and you were like, you know, obviously can't say anything. And what made you go on? Because you even said it on the show. You're not a Survivor fan. You've not watched it before.
No, I've never watched it. People trip out that I say that, and it's true.
Especially the super fans.
Oh my God, yes. I saw it on LinkedIn, and I was at a stage in my life where I was sort of plateauing. I like to be challenged, like stimulated. I want to grow and I want to develop. I want to change. I want to do all these things that sort of keep me going. But I saw this on LinkedIn. And I was like,
I didn't know that they did it that way. Casting call on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it was random. I just remember seeing casting for Survivor season 9. I was like, yeah, all right, I'll apply. So I applied, filled it all out. I had a couple of interviews.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, send us a video of yourself. Like, show us your personality. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That's embarrassing. Why would I do that? So I just didn't, because I was genuinely embarrassed. I was like, how do I show my personality? Like, it's
Yeah,
fake. It's
yeah,
not real.
yeah.
And I'm a real person. Like, just let me be.
Yeah.
So I didn't. And then they called back. They're like, we really want to talk to you. Like, And I said, I didn't send my video in. So what do you want? So we had another interview. And then, a week later, they'd called and said, you're leaving 2 weeks. You're on the Rebels tribe.
Holy
And I
shit.
was like, yeah, cool. They're like, oh, do you know much about
show?
the Rebels and
Oh.
Titans and da-da-da? And I was like, not really. I don't really care.
I'll be fine.
Like, I'm good.
I'll be fine. I'm going to come forth.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me.
And I remember sitting just before we got taken out to the game to play, the producers came into the room and they're like, how you feeling? Where's your head at? And I was like, I'm good. As long as I don't get voted out first, I'm good. And they both looked at each other and they're like, we think you might be our dark horse. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
And you
We'll
were.
see.
And you were.
Oh,
You were so
yeah.
great to watch. But, just you talking about like the application and everything and not sending in a video. Like, I'm just thinking about all the super fans that have applied so many times and
like
have done
Eden
so many
would've.
videos and are listening or have listened or know already that's how you got on. Like, they were just pursuing you.
Mm-hmm.
You were such a perfect person for that show, despite not knowing anything about that show. But that's what I loved about you. Watching your play was like watching the beginning. And I've told you this. Wouldn't call myself a super fan, but I've watched most seasons.
Yeah.
I've watched all the Australian seasons.
Yeah.
And I watched all the early American seasons. And then it got sameness.
Yeah.
And then it got better because people really started to up their game. So watching you was like watching the early seasons of when they didn't know what they were in for.
Yeah.
And seeing you navigate the way they navigated this psychological game
Yeah.
of wits
Yeah.
and outwitting each
Yeah.
other. And I loved also that you are an athlete. Now, you are the very first Indigenous woman to be a coach in AFLW. You are also an elite level netball player, and you've played for Carlton and
Fremantle.
Fremantle. So what you did in Survivor as well was you didn't show your athleticism prowess until right towards the end.
Yeah.
Because you knew they were getting voted out.
Yeah.
You figured that out. Superfans already know that.
Yeah. It was, I saw it as a small scale of society, right? So it was like an experiment for me. I like to see the way people think and
Which
how-
is what the show is.
and their tunnel vision. Like they were coming with a game plan, and if it doesn't go to plan, everything is chaotic for them. I operate in chaos.
Yeah.
I love that because I can navigate through it, and I'm good. I'm adaptable. I'm adjustable. Like, I'm easy.
And you observe well.
Yeah, and that's my life. That is who I am, and that's all I know, and that is just, second nature to me. But when it came to the challenges, there's no way I was going to try hard at all. If I needed to, it wouldn't bother me because the plans that I had in place were done days before. Like, I already knew exactly what was going on. I knew where everyone was sort of voting, and I was sort of in control of it, which is really
so good.
fun because I wasn't expecting to be in the control that I was. Even when I was at Merge, Ferris and I were working together already, and I intentionally put myself into, pretty much just me and Ree, or me by myself, because I didn't want to be involved in a big alliance because I knew that people would be looking at that. So I pretty much put Ferris in with Kitty and Caroline because they wanted to work with me, and I said, "No, I'm with Val.
Yes.
We can't work together."
Yeah, that's
Why
right.
don't you work with Ferris? Like, that's a good idea. And then we just knew everything that was going on. All good. It was so good.
And it's like people have been watching this show for 30 years and they still can't get that right. Or they just overthink. So you were not underthinking, but you were
Just reading it for
you
what
were
it was
just
giving
reading
it.
and
Yeah.
not thinking almost.
Yeah.
Like listening to your readings, like just going, well, what's the play here?
Yeah.
Did the sport come in to that?
Yeah, because like as an athlete, and a lot of the time I was in leadership roles, so you need to sort of know your teammates, know like when to give them a kick out the arse or when to sort of let them go and just find their way. Like, navigating your teammates for the performance and the outcome is huge, which then plays a part in you as a coach to be able to read your players and know, what gets them up and about, are they up and about? How can I see that in them? Like you almost need to read them before they can read themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all translated.
So you had been already doing that in life.
Yeah, but I do it as who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, because
Yes.
that's what I need to do.
In a white world.
Yes.
Spewing, you didn't go. You didn't win. I'm going to just.
I
put
should
it
have
out.
drowned first when I had the chance.
You should have.
Let's just say that.
You should have. I'm just putting it out here now. Like, I do not believe Ferris should have won. I don't. I don't. That's me as a viewer. It was very frustrating seeing that he could have chosen you to go up against in the final 3 or 2, and he chose not to because he knew he couldn't beat you. And he, used that as the reason, that that was a smart decision. What it was a greedy decision, knowing he was going to win against weaker people.
Yeah.
You can't take that win and be proud of it. I'm sorry, you just can't if you haven't played it against the best player of the whole season. So it is an empty win as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sorry, Ferris, but it's almost like winner's guilt. Like, why you won Stephen Bradbury, mate, basically. Like, you shouldn't have won.
He did what he needed to.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And he's sitting on a yacht in some hot island now. And
when you've got, at the end of the day, when you've got $250,000.
$500,000.
Oh, was it $500,000?
$500,000.
Off.
Just
Look,
slide
I would have done it
in
as well. I would have done what he did as well. But what are you going on the game for? I mean, he's gone on to win money.
Yeah.
But don't you want to be the sole survivor?
But you can't be called the king if you don't beat the best, right?
No, that's right. And that's
but he did what he needed to do. He did what he needed to do because he's obviously he won. So
he's the winner,
right.
but he is not the king.
Yeah, no.
No, because you can't unless you beat everyone fair and square. And I know it's a deceitful game, but he didn't do that in a deceiving way. Like it was really obvious. And then he tried to double down on it as well and say, it was a smart move. And, obviously, look, I've got $500,000. Yeah. If you're just going on that show to win money, then, just say that. And maybe he did. And maybe that's where I have to just accept that, he won the money because he needed the monies, I don't know if he needed the money.
I need the money.
But everyone needs the money. That's not what you really want to go on that show for. I don't want to see people on that show. There was a season, Kirby, when, it was awful. It was actually one of the last seasons I watched before I had a break. There ended up being 2 guys at the end who were assholes. And it was the funniest thing. Social media wasn't really around at the time, but there were a lot of forums. And I would go on to them and everyone was just like, what do we do? Like, no one cares. Which one of them was a millionaire.
Yeah, okay.
And the other one was just like a redneck racist, right?
Okay.
And it was just 2 shit people that you just like, I don't care who. I can't believe we're down to these 2.
Yeah.
And one of them, they're going to do this reunion show with Jeff and it's going to be all, it's like, oh, who cares? Like, add that money to your pile of millions, mate. And what are you going to do? I'm not even going to say what I would do, but it's a TV show. We need you to work your ass off and play the best game that you can play that we can watch. Otherwise, what do you want it for?
Yeah, I genuinely went out there just to challenge myself, and the further I got, the more fun I had. You can see me just beaming. I was just living it up, and I was in my element in the sense of just being challenged, doing what I want. I was cheeky. And I'm a pretty direct person. Like, if I want to know something, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
And
you were intimidating as well, and I loved that.
Yeah, but I did it with a smile too, so people didn't know how to take
assassin.
it.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was fun to make. There was one stage I'd asked. Mark was talking to somebody about his social game and how good it was, and I said, you're not really that social if you're just asking questions and people just talking to you and you don't let anyone in. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you don't tell anyone anything. And I remember him cracking it at me and I just smiled and walked away. I was like, all right, I'm under his skin now. Like, it doesn't bother me.
Oh, you knew what you were doing.
But I did it when nobody really was noticing it. I just did it directly.
You're doing little bombs, just letting off little bombs and
every
walking
now and
away.
then. Yeah, so it was fun. Like we're all I'd like to think we're all friends
Yeah.
still.
Well, you'll be friends for life. Like
I'm
no matter,
good, yeah. I would never take anything personally.
Even Kelly will be in your
Well, Kelly
life
and I
forever.
talk probably just as much as Rena.
Oh, that is hilarious. Kelly, for anyone that didn't watch this season, was the most annoying person that I think I've ever seen on TV.
Like, she was entertaining.
She was. I'm not entertained when I'm like wanting to throttle someone.
Yeah.
Going, vote her out. But you were the one that kept. Everyone was unanimous. We're voting out Kel tonight. So many episodes.
It was wild.
And it was always Kirby. It was always you that would go, no, why are we voting her out? Like,
Yeah.
she's harmless.
Yeah.
We need her.
They
You
had
were
the
using
majority.
her.
They had the numbers. They could have just
And
said,
you
nah, I don't care. And I was
still-
like, no, we're not doing it.
You still turned.
And they just didn't do it. And I was like, all right, like, I'm good. But the thing with Cal, like, no one really got under my skin. No one got under my skin. And she used to get under a lot of people's skin. And all they could focus on was Kelly because they're
right.
tired,
That's
they're
right.
hungry and they're cold. And I was like, I love this for us.
Yes.
Go and talk to Gary. Go and
Yes.
annoy Valeria. Go do what you need to do. So
While you were planning and plotting.
while I was just saying, oh, look, I feel like we need to go over
was-
this way, turn left, turn right, rather than go straight down the line of Kelly. So
It was pretty funny though when you finally went, okay, get rid of her. I'm pissed with her now. Like, I'm done.
Well, she was
turned.
making it really difficult
Yeah.
because she chose Raymond, and
That's
Raymond
right.
obviously was not beneficial to me at all, which wasn't beneficial to her at all. Like, he was always against Kel, but she couldn't see that. But it is what it is.
It is, yeah.
It just unfolded the way it did.
I can't wait for an All Stars where you come back because I know that's going to happen. Every Survivor fan wants it. Everyone's asking for it. It's going to happen. I don't know when that will happen. It may be happening next year. I don't know. Maybe you know something that you're not telling me. I don't know.
I'm not going to keep secrets from you, so I don't know about. I don't even know
Okay.
what All Stars is.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it is exactly what you think it is. It's where the best of each season comes back and they play against each other.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And it's great because that's when you get the really good players playing
I wonder
their
if Ferris
best
and I will
game.
end up on the same island again and wonder.
Maybe. I don't think he was.
I
I don't
reckon
think he'll be one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
He wasn't a great player. He's not an all-star. He's just a winner of money. I'm sorry,
We're not
Ferris.
holding grudges.
And anyone that loves Ferris, great
love
guy.
him. He's
great
lovable.
guy.
He's lovable.
Lovely man. I'd like to see you and King George go up against each other.
All together, work together. Is he good?
No. I need you to bring George down.
Okay.
I love George. He's one of the best players I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But so are you. And that's why I need
Different. We're different.
a chalk and cheese.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what to see you work together would be interesting, but you couldn't. You couldn't do it. You
Yeah.
can't control him.
Two alphas.
He's not even on the planet. Like he's not even in the alphabet list of alpha, beta, delta, gamma, anything. He's out. Yeah, but I would love to see it. So, if anyone from Endemol's listening right now, make it happen. Thank you so much for coming on.
No worries.
We've
Thank
run
you.
out of time, as we always do. Well, it always feels like we've just started, but you're my second last episode. You were going to be my last episode, but I ended up having my very first guest back as my
love
last.
that.
So to bookend it,
Yeah. It's clever.
you do have an Indigenous brand,
Yep. Nyala.
Nyala, Gnalla.
Yes.
We will put that in our show notes as well. People can go and purchase.
Yeah.
It's an
Ally
Indigenous
friendly.
brand.
Yeah, Indigenous
Ally.
brand, ally friendly, obviously. It's a brand to start creating conversation or having conversation when no one's looking, and it's
And you're also an artist.
yeah, I tried to be. I started 3 years ago by accident, so it all has worked out.
I've seen your art. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
we'll have to-
beautiful. So,
have to
if
do
you
a
want to
story
buy some
design.
of Kirby's art, commission her. In proper Indigenous, authentic Indigenous art.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
No, I love it. Thank you so much.